भारत माता का
Just his no-show during such crucial gatherings only reflected how poorly he has been managing Canada's diplomatic affairs.
So during the Khalistan terrorism time, there was a Panthik council, right? And they were basically in Pakistan. So they were used to this Panthik council, Panthik committee was in Pakistan. And they were usually 5 members. So Diljit Singh was one of the 5 members. And he is responsible for many hundreds of killings in Punjab. And his nephew is writing opinion columns for Bas News. And he's saying, I have Puneet Sahani's address. We will find him and we will hold him and, and then he will understand. And then he said, I have not said that we will beat you. We have only said we will get hold of you and then we will make you understand and then you will squeak. It's exactly like if when they investigated this terror bombing, 1985 Kanishka bombing, they never said that we have to put the bombs. We have to put the tickets. We have to put the letters. So this is what they do. And, I asked Bas News, like, do you afford this? Nothing.
नमस्ते, स्वागत है आपका इंडिया दिस वीक के नए एपिसोड में और मैं हूं आपकी होस्ट आमना अंसारी खालिद बेग के साथ.
Hi, this is Khalid Beg and welcome to yet another episode of India This Week by Amana and Khalid. Today we're joined by Puneet Sahani. Welcome back, Puneet.
Namaste. Thank you so much for inviting me. And, it's great. It's my 3rd time here and you guys have gone, places. It's been really popular and you're doing great work for the country. So congratulations.
Thank you,
Puneet. And you emerged the biggest force against the Khalistani terror. So kudos to that. And we support you. The threats you get, it makes us worried. But, that is a lot of admiration we have for the kind of work you're doing.
Yeah, actually, before, Khalid, to just give you a perspective. So Amna is in London. And, these guys are such thugs. I think maybe you even had him at your channel. Did you have Wasik at your channel by any chance?
Yeah, we did shoot into a couple of episodes.
Yeah, and he's a brave guy, very articulate guy, and he speaks against Islamism, in UK. But he could speak against Islamism. And that guy, when he spoke against Khalistanis, they have made his life hell.
Yeah.
In a way he just gave a statement. So, these people, And this is actually the case I've been, like making whenever somebody meets me, ki haan bhai, bhai, I'm like, you don't understand what is the problem. These people are way more vicious and no less violent than jihadis, these Khalistanis.
So coming to that, Puneet, India hosted a masterclass in the G20 presidency a couple of days back in Delhi, and felt proud as an Indian. The way it was conducted, and the most powerful people on the planet were there, and the consensus which happened. And whether that was President Joe Biden, whether it was His Highness Mohammed bin Salman, and everybody on the planet who matters, especially India getting that deal, the economic corridor, which is going to start from India to Dubai, and then Middle East, going to connect it through rail link, and we get our Europe, and that's our answer to One Belt, One Road initiative of China. So I think that was very visionary, and that is the right approach and a brilliant response by Modi. In all this, Puneet, what was very visible, rather not visible, was that there was warm meetings with all heads of states, whether it was Rishi Sunak, whether it was Joe Biden, Mohammed bin Salman, and the who's who, Italian Prime Minister, the German Chancellor, even the Turkish, Mr. Erdogan. But Trudeau was snubbed. Trudeau was not visible. The photo ops you could make out, the warmth was missing. And, the press was giving him a miss. India was not, that warm with him. He was not to be seen anywhere. And one step ahead, even though there was positive sentiment by India towards every country, we were the host country, they were our guests. Then came a statement by Ministry of External Affairs, which was pretty scathing, in which India said that we conveyed our strong concerns about continuing anti-India activities of extremist elements in Canada. They are promoting secessionism and inciting violence against Indian diplomats, damaging diplomatic premises, and threatening the Indian community in Canada and their places of worship. The nexus of such forces with organized crime, drug syndicates, and human trafficking could be a concern for Canada as well. It is essential for the two countries to cooperate in dealing with such threats. Someone like you, Puneet, who's been fighting this lone battle of taking on the Khalistani terror, did this make you happy, this stern, clear, crisp message from Ministry of External Affairs? What do you make of this statement, or do you still think it could have been even more blunt?
No, of course, I'm a Punjabi, and you don't want somebody doing teri maa teri behan. But I think in the diplomatic language, as much as dressing down as you could give, it was excellent. And like, it's not that in the past they talk about secessionism and terror. What was really nice, and like I maybe I can also take some credit where I exposed how they do asylum fraud. Where the guy is like boasting, yes, I take for money and write a letter. So they tied this down, and Khalid, this is actually very interesting, because that has been my case all along. They are bringing such a disgrace. So I tell you, when the British came, and like they had like the greatest empire on the face of the earth, over the oceans, all over the world. And so Indians, they took everywhere, right? And we have no record of wherever Indians go, there are four things. Very high, very low in crime, very low in divorce, very high in education, very high in economic output. It's our cultural values that make us so. And even if we do like some like white collar, never violent crime. No, if you do Canada, you just do drug bust, gang bust, and all, like all sing. And if like a bit about the cast, it's almost exclusively coming, from the Jat Sikhs, from where the Khalistani fringe comes, this lunatic fringe. So it's making a, big shame to the community. And, and it is certainly not our culture. It's not that the Sikhs for the first time they went to Canada or something like that. No, they are in Britain. So, where Amana is, if you look, the Britain is actually very interesting, because they do this called National Equality Program, NEP, I think. And it is one of the countries that collects data based on religion, right? So because they usually collect by race, right? Not by religion. But the Britain collects data based on religion. And there they found that the Sikhs, which basically comes, like, people make fun, these are truck driver or blue collar workers. They came, a lot of them, went in the 60s to work in the factories of Manchester and something. And they are the second most successful community in Britain. And like after Jews, who came much earlier, and of course, who have a tradition of, mercantilism and scholarship. But anyways, so this is not even our culture, what they are doing. But because Canada gave a free rein, where they basically, these Khalistani criminals and, mass murder, and they basically captured every. And what can you do? People say, what can you do next to like a violent criminal? You can't do anything. And I, again, so to give you a perspective, I will not take the name. There was one person in US, and he didn't speak like me, who challenges SGPC or Bhindanwale. He just spoke like middle of the line that Sikhs should work with India, and what happened, and like India is a great country, and we are also brothers. So he just talked boilerplate. He spoke against this guy Ravi Khalsa of Khalsa, the same guy for whom Wasik had to apologize. What that thug did sitting in UK, he found in America where the girls of this guy study in school, and sent his Khalistani goons after the daughters. And they got harassed and bullied so hard that those girls are under trauma and in therapy. Now you imagine, like, if you have daughters, and if they, what would you do? So this is what everybody comes, police, bhai, kya, like, how can I help you? And I just, bhai, mujhe koi nahi chahiye, we have like simple needs. It's expensive to live in New York, but we are not very, हमारी रोटी पानी चल जाती है, हमें कोई पैसा पूछा नहीं चाहिए भाई. Like every time I ask you, understand what is the problem. This will completely destroy, and you don't understand. They just come and say some platitude. Hindu Sikh bhai, oh my God, bhai to theek hai, but this is a criminal element, and you have to fight it. And one of my biggest disappointment is that no Hindu voice actually in diaspora. Not on Twitter, anonymously you write something, but somebody who stands and say, like, an end to this, attack on our temples, and and we are going to confront this menace. There is nobody. Everybody is terrified of these monsters.
So, are you satisfied, Puneet, with the MEA statement? And what do you?
Oh, sorry. I go on my own tangents. So I'm actually very, very, very satisfied. And but the thing is, this happened when he came 5 years ago as well. And 5 years ago, we had the Sikh Chief Minister of Punjab, which was Amrinder Singh. And he was very stern. He refused to meet with this Khalistani minister and gave a dressing down. And Canada backtracked, right? So this is 2018. But the thing is, again, they went back to things. So it seemed like, of course, we believe in the integrity of India. We don't believe it. But what happened in 2019? This is not some political thing. The Canadian intelligence, this is about national security. They worked and they said, there is a threat of Sikh extremism, right? This Khalistani extremism. And this Khalistanis, which have infiltrated the body politic of Canada, especially in Trudeau's term, they created such an upheaval that the Trudeau government said, okay, we will remove the references. And one guy who basically stood up and said, what is to do with, I'm a proud Sikh. And he actually comes from this Punjabi constituency of Brampton, which is like you can say like South Hall, where all the Punjabis. He said, I'm a Sikh, I'm a proud Sikh. But I am against Khalistan terrorism. Why are you conflating against the two? And these Khalistanis, again, went after him. And that guy's political career was destroyed. So he was kicked out of the party, which they call it the caucus, he was thrown out. And Trudeau actually got his minion to attack this guy as a racist. Imagine, a Sikh is standing up in Canada to speak up against Khalistan terrorism. And these woke minions of Trudeau, these white people, they call that Sikh a racist. And that guy, to be a member of parliament is not a small thing. His career is over. Now he runs a law practice. His name is Ramesh Singh Sangha, if you want to check.
So what is the backup action you think India should take post this statement?
No, so the thing is, what is done is, so Trudeau, it's actually it's not, see, Khalid, it's not like a tap you turn and on and off. So these people, they have basically infiltrated. To just give you an example, I'll answer your question. See, when this Mrs. Gandhi's tableau was paraded, right? Nobody spoke, like this, and some diplomat in journalism. One Indian MP, her name is Anita Anand. She basically said this should not, and you see the bullying she received from Khalistan, right? And the state is basically okay, freedom of speech. And when this, low-life thug, he was killed in a Gurdwara in a gang fight. And, he has a gangster and, with terror record. When that guy, these Khalistanis managed to get many member of parliaments from Canada to tweet against it, that, there should be an inquiry, India may be involved, So you see a low-life thug who is running a small Gurdwara in Canada. These Khalistanis can, twist the system that MPs tweet for him. Whereas, the killers of Indian Prime Minister, are celebrated through this feed for 6 hours, and the Canadian MP. So this is the level of, like terror, like, and like what do you say, foreboding that they have created in it. And these people have infiltrated the system. So it will take a chemotherapy or surgery or a long time to remove these people. It's not going to go like easy. And sorry, what was your question? I'm not sure if I answered.
No, I was saying that you are happy with the statement which has come out with MEA. What do you want an
Right.
action to happen post that?
Right. So the thing is, it's very hard for Canada to do. So the one guy who is like probably going to be the next prime minister, Trudeau is like completely down, is Polyev. So when he said against Indira Gandhi, it's so fascinating. He talks about everything on like Twitter, but when he had to do it, he had to hide in his website and make this comment. And then I tweeted it. So what he was trying to do was, he was so afraid that in case somebody said you never condemned it, he could show, no, I actually condemned it. See, it's on my website. But he didn't want the people to know that they go after him. So the thing is, what Canada can do, when this Muslim Brotherhood type WSO has infiltrated the entire system, is, and politicians by nature are callous and coward. So I don't expect anything. But the Indian government should basically, for example, ban the WSO, the World Sikh Organization, which is basically, defending Mrs. Gandhi, which is basically defending Talvinder Parmar, the mastermind of Air India bombing. If you see, I don't know if you've seen this video, I've shared it many times on Twitter. There is a guy from this table. He's like, we will not rest till we kill 50,000 Hindus. Hindus are not our brothers, So that was said at the foundation ceremony of World Sikh Organization, which is a Khalistani organization. And they've never disowned that person. And they've never condemned that speech. And this organization is basically, bullying all the MPs. And, it's so fascinating. So when this inquiry commission happened of this Air India bombing, the retired Supreme Court judge, I think his name was John Major, he was looking into it. These bunch of lawyers from WSO, they went and submitted lies. Oh, like there is a Canadian officer, so they didn't just submit lies. They lied against like a uniformed officer. In India ka haat hai. India may be involved. You have not taken. He has said, and he's like, there's nothing like this. We looked at it. There is no Indian. So they can defame an officer and get away with it. And you can ask Terry or something. So they are lawyers. So they should know what is they are willfully lying to a Supreme Court judge. And this is like the vicious things organization they have, and they go after just anybody. So the government should basically declare it a terrorist organization and ban it. And, for example, the other day, I even shared it. I don't know if you looked at it. So one of their columnists, he's saying, I know where Puneet Sahani lives, and somebody should confront him. And, like,
I saw that.
Yeah. And then the other, he wants to, he's like, yeah, like I will go and beat his skull in. And, like we will teach him a lesson. And that guy, somebody did the research. He's basically the nephew, like Bhanja, of one of the most dreaded terrorists. His name is Diljit Bittu. To give you a perspective, Khalid, you're from Kashmir, right? So in Kashmir, you had like United Jihad Council, right? So during the Khalistan terrorism time, there was a Panthik Council, right? And they were basically in Pakistan. So they were used to this Panthik Council, Panthik Committee was in Pakistan. And they were usually 5 members. So Diljit Bittu was one of the 5 members. And he is responsible for many hundreds of killings in Punjab. And his nephew is writing opinion columns for Bas News. And he's saying, I have Puneet Sahani's address. We will find him and we will hold him. And, and then he will understand. And then he said, I have not said that we will beat you. We have only said we will get hold of you. And then we will make you understand, and then you will squeak. It's exactly like if when they investigated this terror bombing, 1985 Kanishka bombing, they never said that we have to put the bombs. We have to put the tickets. We have to put the letters. So this is what they do. And, I asked Bas News, like, do you afford this? Nothing. So this is the intimidation.
Did you file a case against this?
Now there is a lot. The case is many things. So I've already, I don't know how much I can speak. But the thing is, of course, I'm grateful that I'm not in Canada. There is some rule of law and I have like some protection. But again, like after a while, how many can you report? There are so many. And also, like, the thing is, okay, like the more you escalate, the more you lose your freedom too. So I was, you can ask Amana, I was recently in London. We just missed meeting each other. So, it was, in my younger days, I traveled everywhere and, with just like drop of the hat. Now I have to go out for a dinner with my wife. And of course, I'm a patriot and I will die like a Kshatriya. but I have to look at the thing, wherever this lunatic may come from. So you have to sacrifice a lot, and you don't want to sacrifice more of your freedom. So I do what needs to be done, but like, if they have to get me, they will get me, but I'm not going to back down.
It's very inspiring, but we always hope that you remain safe, Puneet, and you're driven by a lot of passion, and that shows in your work. Amna, your counter question to
सो अभी जो हम बात कर रहे थे स्टेटमेंट की पुनीत, तो उसके बाद जो है ट्रूडो ने भी एक कॉन्फ्रेंस में स्टेटमेंट दिया कि कनाडा विल ऑलवेज डिफेंड फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन, फ्रीडम ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस and freedom of peaceful protest, and it is extremely important to us. At the same time, we are always there to prevent violence and to push back against hatred. I think on the issue of the community, it is important to remember that the action of few do not represent the entire community or Canada. So how do you see this response to the MAA का जो statement है, मतलब what he was trying to say basically कि हम
भाई JNU वाली अकल है ना, शर्म है, और ऊपर से पूरे के पूरे ढीठ है। इनके साथ क्या मत्था मारा जा सकता है। अब इसने देखो जो बात कही, कहता है जी ये फ्रीडम, मैंने आपको बताया कि जहां से इंदिरा गांधी का निकला था ना, वो इन्होंने फ्लोट निकाला था, उसका नाम है गुरु नानक मिशन गुरुद्वारा, टोरंटो के अंदर, ब्रैम्पटन के अंदर। मैंने कल उसकी जो ईयरली मैगजीन है उसकी मैंने एक डाली हुई है। वो मैगजीन क्या कह रही है, एक नाम है सुरेंद्र सिंह शिंदर नाम है मेरे ख्याल उस बंदे का, उसको कह रहे महाशयी। उसका क्या, वो खुद रिकॉर्ड बता रहे, मैं नहीं कह रहा पुनीत साहनी, वो कह रहे इस बंदे ने जाके पंजाब, पहले ये एनएसए में था, पुलिस ने इसने ये कार्यवाहियों में, ये वहां से भाग के कनाडा आ गया, फिर कनाडा से इसको चैन नहीं लगा तो ये इंडिया गया, इसने वहां पे एक शिवसेना वाले हिंदू लीडर को मारा, फिर वहां से भाग के कनाडा आ गया। ये वो उनकी मैगजीन इसको सेलिब्रेट करी है। फिर इसका मनी भरा, फिर ये कनाडा से दोबारा इंडिया गया, इंडिया में जाके फिर इसने एक पुलिस वाले को मार दिया, पुलिस वाले का भी नाम बताया हुआ है, ये वाला पुलिस वाला था। फिर पुलिस वाले को मार के वापस कनाडा आ गया, फिर कनाडा आने के बाद फिर वो दोबारा इंडिया गया और वो सिर्फ पुलिस से लड़ता लड़ता मर गया। ये हमारा महान शहीद है। जब ये बच्चों को सिखाया जा रहा है गुरुद्वारे के अंदर, मैं पुनीत साहनी नहीं कह रहा, मैंने वो मैगजीन निकाल के डाली है जहां से इंदिरा गांधी का वो जो झांकी निकली है कि उसको गोलियां पड़ रही। अब ये कौन सी फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन है भैया। अब ये जो कह रहा है कि इसने जब ये जो खालिस्तानी ये जो कर रहे थे, ये अपना क्या कहते हैं किसान आंदोलन उन्होंने लगाया हुआ था बेवकूफों ने, तो वहां से स्पीच दे रहा था, हमें बड़ा डर है जी कि वहां पे क्या कहते हैं, वहां पे आजादी की है, हम इनको सपोर्ट करते हैं। और वहां के ये जो बदमाश बने हुए थे, इन्होंने पुलिस को कूटा, 100 पुलिस वाले इंजर्ड हुए हैं, जो आपने भी देखा जो रेड फोर्ट के अंदर इन्होंने किया। वहां पे तो कुछ भी नहीं हुआ, वहां पे कहते हैं जी ये हो गया। उसके बाद जो ये था, जो यहाँ पे जो कनाडा में प्रोटेस्ट करने गए, उन्होंने तो किसी को थप्पड़ भी नहीं मारा, उसने इमरजेंसी लगा दी, उन्होंने उसके बैंक अकाउंट में मतलब कर दिया, पूरा इमरजेंसी मेजर लगा दिया। मतलब देयर इज ये जो जेन्यू टाइप दिमाग है ना, इनकी हिपोक्रेसी का कोई अंत नहीं है। अब ये कहता है कि इंडिया हमारे अंदर इंटरफेरेंस करती है। अब जब ये जो किसान आंदोलन ही हो रहा था, इसके अंदर जो ब्रैम्पटन है, अभी मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, वहां की जो म्यूनिसिपल काउंसिल है, उसने रेजोल्यूशन पास की, हम फार्म प्रोटेस्ट सपोर्ट करते हैं। ये देखो ये क्या हो रहा है, ये भाई ये इंटरफेयर कर रहे हैं। बट अगर कोई बंदा, किसी को शर्म ही नहीं, किसी को लगता कि झूठ बोलना कोई पाप ही नहीं, तो बस मतलब यू कैन जस्ट सेट कॉस्ट फॉर देम। मैं यही बता रहा हूँ, ये बंदे बिल्कुल बेशरम है, ये बंदे बिल्कुल ढीठ हैं, और आप इनसे दलीलों से इनसे कुछ नहीं होना। सो यू जस्ट इन्फ्लिक्ट कॉस्ट ऑफ this unacceptable behavior, and like it's a nuisance that you have to manage.
Puneet, Trudeau is definitely not having a great time in India. Ab technical snag ki wajah se his plane is still here, he's here, his delegation is here. But as we speak right now, as we record this and as he's here, just yesterday, after India had a very strong worded, statement by the Ministry of External Affairs, that very day, Canada allows another anti-India referendum in Surrey, where Gurpat Pannu openly calls for balkanization of India, threatens PM Modi, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, and Home Minister Amit Shah, and 5,000 to 7,000 people turned up, even though they had said that 50,000 people will come up. And Pannu was there, and he had security. There were obviously Canadian officers there as well. So this seems to be like they are brazen about it.
आज शहीद परमार ते जथेदार शहीद निज्जर नूं समर्पित ਲੱਖਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਵੋਟ ਪਈ ਹੈ ਇੱਥੇ। ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਦਾ ਐਲਾਨ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੰਗ ਭਾਰਤ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਲੱਗੀ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਮ ਦੇ ਹੱਕ 'ਚ ਪੈ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। to those who assassinated Niger. We are calling for your political death. ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਰਾਜਸੀ ਕਤਲ। ਮੋਦੀ, ਜੈ ਸ਼ੰਕਰ, ਡੋਨਾਲਡ, ਸ਼ਾਹ, we are coming for you. We are coming with the might of the pen and we are using the international laws. Yes, we are going to challenge the territorial integrity.
नहीं देखिए, कई चीजें जो होती है ना, वो जो बंदा है, अब उसको क्या, एक डेमोक्रेसी यही है कि मतलब देयर इज अ ट्रेड ऑफ, कि अगर आप कोई आजादी देते हो तो वो लोग उसको बदतमीजी की आजादी करने के लिए भी ये होगा, बट आप अगर उसको सारी की सारी आजादी छीन लो तो ये नहीं है कि बस बदतमीजी के लिए है, कोई जेन्युइन के लिए भी वो छीन जाएगी। सो इट इज लाइक देयर विल ऑलवेज बी लाइक अ न्यूसेंस एलिमेंट, बट ही वाज आल्सो लाइक वेरी गार्डेड। एक तो वो डरा हुआ था, दूसरा वो जो कह रहा था हम तुझे मार देंगे, पता नहीं क्या, जयशंकर और मोदी और वो क्या, बट अब वो कह रहा था राजसी कत्ल करेंगे, लाइक पॉलिटिकल असैसिनेशन करेंगे, मतलब लाइक ही वाज। बट आई थिंक लाइक मेरे को तो ऑनेस्टली यार खालिद बताऊं, मैं उस बंदे से मुझे कोई परेशानी नहीं है, मुझे तो वो देखता बाय गॉड, वो मेरे को लगता है जैसे वो पाकिस्तान का लाल टोपी है ना, बाय गॉड मेरे को कभी उस बंदे पे गुस्सा नहीं चढ़ा।
He's the Sikh version of Zaid Hamid.
हाँ, वो लाल टोपी मेरी तो मतलब हंसी निकलती है कि मतलब यार ये चल कोई एंटरटेनमेंट हुआ, अब लाइक आई डोंट नो ये यहाँ पे चल सकता है या नहीं चल सकता। असल में मुझे एक बंदा मिल गया जो उसके साथ पढ़ा हुआ है लॉ कॉलेज में, कि उसको कुछ आता जाता नहीं, तो वो हरियाणवी था। तो मैं आपको बताऊं, उसको हटा देना अगर ये हो, बट वो बड़ा मजेदार है। आई कैन नेवर लेट दैट एक्सप्रेशन गेट आउट ऑफ माई हेड। तो वो कहता है ये पन्नू पन्नू के है, तो मुझे तो आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड। मैं तो वही उसको देखता हूँ तो मेरा एंटरटेनमेंट हो जाता, भाई मेरा इससे कोई रोला नहीं है, इसको खुला छोड़ दो।
But leaving aside Pannu, but the other Khalistani elements, Puneet, are very clear when they make these statements and protest and rallies in Canada time and again, saying that the balkanization of India needs to be done and India needs to be broken. That is something Canada cannot simply say कि ये तो भाई हमारा freedom of expression है। Freedom of expression आप थोड़ी इस चीज के लिए बोल सकते हो कि आपके एक दूसरे कंट्री को तोड़ ही दिया जाए।
See, yes and no. आप देखिए, the thing is it's a democracy, right? It's a flawed democracy like we are. But उसके अंदर भी क्या है कि जो लोग हैं, आप उसको बोलो, आप सोचोगे, मतलब जैसे यहाँ पे भी एक बार वो जब था, ये पता नहीं केजरीवाल का, पता नहीं वो कोई सोमनाथ भारती था, यहाँ पे कोई अफ्रीकन के बीच में आपस में लड़ाई हो गई थी स्टूडेंट्स की, तो आपकी जैसे थे, आपको भी लगेगा भैया ये क्या है, ये कोई इंडिया के है, कोई ये कह रहा है ऐसा होना चाहिए, कोई ऐसा होना चाहिए, हमें क्या पता भैया कि मतलब क्या हो रहा है। सो यू हैव टू व्हाट द केस वी शुड बी मेकिंग इज बेसिकली टू द कैनेडियन, बिकॉज उनका देश है, और उनको केस क्या करना चाहिए कि भाई देखो आपके देश में जो सबसे बड़ा काम हुआ, एंड एक्चुअली इट्स इंटरेस्टिंग कि आज हम 9/11 पे बात कर रहे हैं कि जो सबसे बड़ा ये, तो 9/11 से पहले सबसे बड़ा जो एविएशन टेरर हुआ था वो कनाडा में हुआ था, और वो खालिस्तानियों ने किया था। और ये जो गुरुद्वारे में लेके जा रहे हैं, ये उन बदमाशों की फोटो लगा रहे हैं जो उसका मास्टरमाइंड था, और ये जो उसका मास्टरमाइंड था ये पुनीत साहनी नहीं कह रहा, ये कनाडा की जितनी इन्वेस्टिगेशन हुई है उन सारे के सारों ने कह दिया कि तलविंदर सिंह परमार जो था, he was the architect and the chief instigator of the thing. So the case we should be making, जो आपके यहाँ पे सबसे बड़ा टेररिज्म हुआ उसको यहाँ पे गुरुद्वारे में किया जा रहा है। Everybody, like the thing is how they are affected, how their children are affected. That is always the case that we should be making. And this is the thing कि इन्होंने जाके इंडिया ही नहीं मारा, वो जो जहाज में मरे थे तुम भी मरे थे, और जो यहाँ पे इन्होंने सारा गंद मचाया हुआ था, और ये बंदे दोबारा वही आ गए, और ऐसे ही शुरू हुआ था। सो आई ऑलवेज ट्राई कि इन्होंने इंडिया के बारे में कुछ बोला, और भाई इंडिया के बारे में कुछ बोला तुम इंडिया करे ना, इंडिया ने जैसे अब इसको कनाडा को ड्रेसिंग डाउन दी, यू इन्फ्लिक्ट कॉस्ट, यू बैन WSO, तुम अपना करो। बाकी जो कनाडा के करना है, दैट वी हैव टू एक्सप्लेन टू देयर सिटीजन हाउ दीस पीपल आर अ ग्रेव थ्रेट, एंड दैट इज द केस आई थिंक वी शुड बी मेकिंग।
पुनीत, एक मेरा ये सवाल था कि जैसे जो खालिस्तानी एलिमेंट है, कहीं ना कहीं भले ही ये नंबर में कम हो, बहुत बहुत ऑर्गेनाइज दिखते हैं। इवन अगर आप यूके में देखो तो ये ऐसा भी करते हैं कि बच्चों को भी, मतलब देयर हैज बीन रिपोर्ट अबाउट इट आल्सो, कि वो बच्चों की मदद करेंगे अगर वो अब्रॉड पढ़ना चाहते हैं, बदले में वो उनको अपनी आइडियोलॉजिकल अलाइज बनाएंगे, या एटलीस्ट ब्रेन वॉशिंग, या ऐसा। एक नॉर्मल इंसान के साथ क्या होता है, जो आपकी मदद करता है आप उसकी ज्यादा सुनते हो। ये एक बहुत ही एक सिंपल इंसान की यही तरीका होता है जीने का। तो वो उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के थ्रू और बच्चों को लेकर के आते हैं, फिर उनका नंबर्स और बढ़ता है। सिर्फ यही नहीं करते हैं, वो वॉइसेस जो इनके बारे में आवाज उठाते हैं, वो उनके लिए सच में थ्रेट भी क्रिएट करते हैं। तो जो जो नेशनलिस्ट वॉइस है वो कहीं ना कहीं, जो प्रो इंडिया नेशनलिस्ट वॉइस है, वो कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है कि उस तरह से ऑर्गेनाइज नहीं हो पाती है जिस तरह से खालिस्तानी हो पाते हैं। एंड इसमें एक जो नॉर्मल सिख है वो ज्यादातर चूज करता है चुप रहना, और उसकी वजह से एक ऐसा भी कहीं ना कहीं संदेश जाने लगता है कि आई डोंट नो, मतलब कौन से मतलब मे बी ऑल द जो सिख बाहर हैं आउट ऑफ इंडिया, दे ऑल आर खालिस्तानी और प्रो खालिस्तानी। तो हाउ डू यू थिंक कि एज ए नेशनलिस्ट हाउ वी शुड टेक दिस इंटायर जो इशू है, और हमें भी किस तरह से ऑर्गेनाइज होने की जरूरत है? वी हैव टू डू समथिंग एटलीस्ट, राइट?
नहीं नहीं, मैंने आपको बताया जैसे दूसरा ये है, इसको जैसे सपोर्ट की बात है, मैं आपको बताऊं 86 या 87 में था, तो आप अगर मेरे ट्विटर में सर्च करिए, एक नाम तरसेम सिंह तूर, ठीक है, सो ही वाज अगेंस्ट दिस खालिस्तानी, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग 1986। उसको खालिस्तानियों ने मार दिया। अब जब उस खालिस्तानी को मार दिया तो उसका मैंने वीडियो डाला हुआ है, तो वो जो ब्रिटिश जर्नलिस्ट है वो कह रहा है इन पागल खालिस्तानियों ने मार दिया, देखो हजारों लोग उसके वहां पे इकट्ठे हुए हैं उसको मतलब श्रद्धांजलि देने के लिए जब वो मरा। भाई वो मर ही सकता है ना, और हम क्या कर सकते हैं। तो मैं जैसे बता रहा हूँ, फिर दूसरा था दर्शन दास, उसको मार दिया। अब ये जो है ना यूके का ये था, टेरी ने इसके ऊपर इन्वेस्टिगेटर रिपोर्ट की है, वहां पे भी बहुत डर था कि वहां पे जो एमपी थे, जो सिख एमपी थे, जो थोड़े भी खालिस्तानी नहीं थे, दे हैड टू गो टू द पार्लियामेंट इन पुलिस एस्कॉर्ट, देयर मूवमेंट्स वर वेरी रिस्ट्रिक्टेड एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स। बट एटलीस्ट जो मर्डर्स हुए, एंड ये देखो सारे एंटी खालिस्तानी वॉइसेस के और सिक्स के इन्होंने मर्डर किए, तो उसके बाद कोई डेटरेंट हुआ। जैसे कनाडा में तो उन्होंने वो 350 325 लोगों को मार दिया, किसी को कुछ कुछ नहीं हुआ, मतलब एक बंदे को छोड़ के। जहां पे जो इन्होंने 2-3 बंदे भी मारे उनको 35-35 20-20 साल सजा हुई है यूके के अंदर। उसके बाद वो थोड़े शांत हो गए कि भैया मारने से हमें नुकसान होता है, सो दे सेट अ डेटरेंट। बट लाइक द थिंग इज, अब एक बंदा जैसे इन्होंने मारा, एक उसका नाम है दर्शन दास, ठीक है, आप ना उसको कर लेना। जब वो मारा तो उसके जो आई थिंक मिसेस मार्गरेट थैचर ने भी उसके ऊपर कमेंट दिया कि ये क्या यहाँ पे बदतमीजी बना रखी है। और जो जजमेंट पास हुई, जो वहां का जज था, उसने लिखा कि ये बंदा वैशी है, ये पागल है, ये फनेटिक है, ये जो मर्जी है, और इसने एक भगवान के बंदे को मार दिया। ठीक है। अब वो जो बंदा 35 साल बाद निकला मतलब जेल से, उसको ये सारे यूके के खालिस्तानी उसके गले में हाथ डाल रहे हैं, ये बड़ा महान आदमी है, ये बड़ा महान आदमी है जी, इसने इसकी क्या अचीवमेंट है, इस अनपढ़ आदमी ने एक जाके गैर खालिस्तानी को मार दिया। और जब मैं एक और लड़का है वो क्रिस ब्लैकबर्न करके, उसने कहा उसको क्या करे, तो वहां के जो ये सिख प्रेस एसोसिएशन और सारी, वो कहते जी हमारा तो ट्रेडिशन है कि जी हम ये क्या कहते हैं, कोई हम कोई बलात्कारी होगा या कोई गुनेगार होगा उसको मारेंगे। ओ भाई, कोर्ट की जजमेंट है। सो आई थिंक अगेन दिस इज द केस वी शुड बी मेकिंग टू द ब्रिटिश पीपल। ये एक जो ब्रिटिश जज कह रहा है कि दे हैव किल्ड अ मैन ऑफ गॉड एंड अ मैन ऑफ पीस, उसको इन्होंने मार ही नहीं दिया खालिस्तानियों ने, ये उसके मर्डर को सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं और उसको कह रहे हैं कि उसने कोई मतलब कोई रेपिस्ट है या कोई सिनर है या क्या है। सो अगेन दैट इज द केस वी शुड बी मेकिंग टू द ब्रिटिश पीपल कि ये जो आपने सांप पाल रखे हैं, ये नहीं कोई इंडिया को जिंदाबाद मुर्दाबाद लगा रहे हैं भाई, इनका कत्ल करने का रिकॉर्ड है। और ये पुनीत साहनी नहीं कह रहा, ये आपकी अदालतें कह रही हैं, और ये उनको सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं आज भी। जैसे जो एक बंदा था जो जो दर्शन दास का कातल है, उसका नाम है राजेंद्र सिंह बाठ। ठीक है, राजेंद्र सिंह बाठ, आप उसको करोगे आपको सर्च आ जाएगा, वो देखो सारे जितने यूके की खालिस्तानी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है वो उसके गले में हाथ डाल रही है। तो ये यूके को अलार्म होना चाहिए कि भैया ये यहाँ पे क्या बदतमीजी लगा रखी इन्होंने।
अभी ये वीडियो जो ऋषि सोनक जी ने शेयर किया था, पीएम ने, जहां पर ये पाकिस्तानी कुछ जो लोग हैं वो और खालिस्तानी लोग मिलकर बात कर रहे हैं कि हम आपको ले आएंगे यूके में, सारा हम कर देंगे, कुछ फ्रॉडरी चल रही थी वीजा वगैरह दिलवाने के बारे में। डिड यू वॉच दैट?
हाँ, ये तो बेसिकली देखो हम ना, सबसे पहले क्या हुआ कि जो मैंने जो था ना, ये देखो दो चीजें हैं, ये हमेशा आई थिंक ये इस्लामिस्ट भी ऐसे बोलते होंगे। एक तो ये है कि पब्लिक कंजम्पशन के लिए, तो ये अंग्रेजी में आते हैं ना, ये जितने भी इंटरव्यू देते हैं, ये फिर सारे के सारे बात करेंगे ह्यूमन राइट्स, डेमोक्रेटिक राइट्स, फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच, फ्रीडम ऑफ रिलीजन, ये वो फला ढीम का। ठीक है। अब ये खालिस्तान मूवमेंट शुरू कैसे होता है कि इन्होंने जैसे इस्लाम अहमदी है ना, कि इनको कह दिया कि इन्होंने को ब्लास्फेमी किया, इनको कत्ल कर दो या इनको रहने। आपको बताऊं खालिस्तान मूवमेंट ऐसे शुरू होता है, एक सेक्ट थी सिखों की निरंकारी, उसी के साथ ऐसे था कि उनको कत्ल कर दो। एसजीपीसी ने फतवा दिया कि इनके साथ सारे रिश्ते खत्म कर दिए जाएं, ये बीमारी है फला टीम का। मैं कोई खालिस्तानी सबसे पहले पूछो भाई कि निरंकारी को फ्रीडम ऑफ रिलीजन है कि नहीं, वो भी जवाब नहीं देंगे, क्योंकि दैट एंटायर मूवमेंट जैसे है ना कि वो पाकिस्तान इज एंटी अहमदी, दिस इज लाइक एंटी निरंकारी। तो ये तो आपकी बात होगी। बट जब ये पंजाबी बोलते हैं, ऑफ कोर्स दे हैव टू बी कनेक्टेड विद देयर जो सपोर्ट बेस, उनको ये नाचना बोलेंगे, तू अपने घर जा, हमें क्या लेना देना। वहां पे ये सारा का सारा सच बोल देते हैं कि हाँ जी ऐसे कर। तो वो जो एक सिमरनजीत सिंह मान था, वो कह रहा था कि मैं पैसे लेके ऐसे देता हूँ कि मेरा तो जी पैसे है, मैं कैसे अपनी पार्टी चलाऊं। उसकी मैंने सब टाइटल करके वीडियो डाल दी, दैट वेंट वायरल। फिर उसके यहाँ पे जो था, जी न्यूज ने उसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन की, जी न्यूज ने इन्वेस्टिगेशन की यहाँ से लेके कि कौन सा लेटर जाता है। इट वाज एक्चुअली अ वेरी वेरी फाइन इन्वेस्टिगेशन, दे फॉलोड इट अप एंड आई कांग्रेचुलेट देम ऑन देम। वी कुडंट कोलैबोरेट फॉर सम रीजन बट इट्स अ वेरी नाइस। उसके बाद यूके में इन्होंने किया कि भाई अगर ऐसा है तो चलो हम एक फेक बंदा करके, सो दैट वाज अ फॉलो अप ऑफ व्हाट वी हैड डिस्क्लोज। तो उन्होंने क्या, वो सारे के सारे इन्होंने दिखाया वही धंधा बिल्कुल, कि वो जो एक पता नहीं कोई श्रीलंकन तमिल भी था, वो कहता भाई सबसे बढ़िया कि अपने आप को खालिस्तान कह दे, कि तू खालिस्तानी नहीं हुई है तो खालिस्तान कह दे, सबसे पहले ये हो जाएगा। तो उसके बाद हुआ, उनके उनके ऊपर कानून चल रहा है, यू नो लाइक, बट यू नो गुड एंड इट्स गुड मोदी जी हैज बेसिकली पुट दिस। उन्होंने खालिस्तान, अगर आप ध्यान से देखिए तो उन्होंने असाइलम फ्रॉड, ये आई डोंट नो द एग्जैक्ट वर्ड्स, बट इन्होंने इमिग्रेशन फ्रॉड या ऐसे करके उसको बोला है। So it's good that he has basically, you know, connected this all things. You know, it's not different. Khalistanis, this is the fringe, the lunatic fringe among the Jatsi community. They are the Khalistanis. They are the violent criminals. They are, you know, like doing like all this, all kind of, you know, criminal, and they need to be dealt with a heavy hand.
Khalid, your question.
Puneet, I remember years back, even when Jagmeet Singh was asked about the air conditioner bombing, and which was the most brutal, and so many people died in that plane bombing. Thrice he was prompted by the reporter in that interview that do you condemn it, and he never categorically condemned it.
आप ये देखो, ये मैं आपको this is the same thing. So the reporter was actually nobody but Terry Molesky, right? And he got him, and he knows it. So he just said, whoever has done it. He's like, what do you mean by whoever has done it? There is like this. So he tried to escape, like not answer. And it's not that he didn't. When he went out, he tried to play the victim. So he said, Terry Molesky is a racist. That, like I am being harassed, I am being a Sikh. But the thing is, again, at that time, the entire Canadian population became alarmed. This is the greatest act of mass murder on Canadian of in Canada, and this is not. It is not a suspicion. This is the findings of the inquiry commission. That this and this guy is, what do you say, equivocating on that. And then he felt the public pressure of the Canadians. Then he basically said, "Okay, I accept the findings of this." So again, I'm saying it was not, his morality rose up and he said, no, I accept it. It was basically the pressure that, okay, I will not be able to survive in Canadian politics if I don't say like this. And that's what he said. So it was Terry Molesky. And I'm saying all Khalistani need to be done. So when you talk about freedom of religion and freedom of speech, do you believe that Nirankari should have the freedom of religion or freedom of speech or not? Because according to Khalistanis, it's so fascinating. So all these reporters who were covering Khalistan, Bhindanwale and there was Babbar Khalistan, and they disagreed on, strategy and what to do and who to do. But they were all unanimous that Nirankari should be killed. So for example, you go to Shekhar Gupta, if you do India Today, Shekhar Gupta, Nirankari, or you'll get the report. Or Tavleen Singh, whichever you prefer. They have all said, yes, we have killed Nirankaris and we are going to kill Nirankaris. And this is before any Blue Star or Delhi 84. But again, they speak in English like, they are some, founding fathers of America or something like that. But these guys are, fascist thugs and they need to be dealt with a heavy hand.
Amna, your question?
अभी फिलहाल तो मेरे पास ज्यादा क्वेश्चन नहीं है, बट हाँ एक चीज है कि मेनी टाइम आई फील आई डोंट नो अबाउट खालिस्तानी जितना मुझे जानना चाहिए, एंड थैंक्स टू पुनीत लाइक आई एम लर्निंग स्लोली अ बिट, बट अभी भी लगता है कि लाइक अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग इज very complex for me to understand. So I think Puneet, you should write some book or something to explain like properly. So one should sit there and पढ़ के उसको समझ में, and it is important as well. So yeah, just that I wanted to say.
Actually, he is writing a book.
हाँ नहीं, वो दूसरी है. That is on, evolution of Sikh identity. ये Khalistan terrorism, it's like another subject. But मैं जैसे जो था भिंडरांवाला, for example, if you again, it's so similar. If you see like Akali Dal का, जो मैं एक मेरा thesis है कि this didn't come from 84. It comes from 1920 politics, communal politics of Punjab. Whereas basically Akali Dal, whatever they are saying, वो Muslim League was saying. So basically Muslim League said Juda Gana Qawmiyat, they said Vakri Qawm. It's basically the exact translation in Punjabi. So, people mimic each other. And this is actually the danger of tribalism. So like you had, that you will know, कौन सा यार TLP वाला, who is this TLP guy in Pakistan who died? Khadim Hussain Rizvi. So Bhindranwala was basically Khadim Hussain Rizvi. And what he would say, like, fuck Tulu, Bhindranwala would say, soda laga do. And so what he did, he paralyzed the entire state. And nobody would dare touch it. Pakistan is so lucky. Everybody is saying like Pakistan is like so unlucky. I'm saying they're so unlucky that this guy, what's his name, Khadim Hussain Rizvi died in COVID. Otherwise, he would have done destruction of Bhindranwala and even maybe more. He was like such a wild person. And what can you argue with people so wild? And when they raise these fanatics, who are just going to do Sar Tan Se Juda or, Soda Laga Do, everybody goes into silence. So I'm sure, like most people, many, if not most, many people in Pakistan disapprove of this, TLP people. But you would not find anybody who would openly oppose them. Because these people are fanatic. They feel no shame in, like killing. And actually, if you kill, you will become a celebrity. So there is no space for dissent when you have a condition like this. And this is exactly like Khalistanis, and this is exactly like what Bhindranwala did. So all his opponents, not just, like this editor of Punjab Kesari or this guru of Nirankaris, but, he basically killed all, Sikh, leaders of, like, for example, the most respected Sikh scholar of the time was Gyani Pratap Singh. He was 80-year-old son. Bhindranwala then killed him because he disapproved, he should not be there. So he basically, Gyani of Toot Sahib, Gyani of Majoli, all these people, is like, what is this? You have, hid like in a temple, which is not a place. It's not a hostel. And no guru has ever lived there. It is a place, while you're hiding. He basically went and his men killed people. What can you do? They killed the father of, you will know this guy. He's a member of parliament, or was a member of parliament at least, Manish Tiwari. Manish Tiwari from Punjab?
Yeah. Congress person.
Yeah. So his father, he was actually a professor of English, if I'm not wrong. But, a very fine gentleman who, brilliant Punjabi. And he would actually publicly say that I am ready to talk, have a discussion on any Akali, on Gurbani, and, Sikhi. And nobody would dare. But, this Bhindranwala is a right-hand man. He went and killed him. And Manish Tiwari, he doesn't speak openly against him. He's like, what is the point? I will also go. So this is a murderous mob. And, these are thugs. And, for me, like, as I've studied Punjab, eventually you have to fight. It's not that, you can hide in a corner and wish this will go away. This is a menace. This is an evil that you have to confront. And, and yeah, this is what I think. At least you will have, like, live with some honor. Otherwise, like, Buzdili ke saath the moti hai.
Yeah, and I think we fail a lot on narrative front pay, because if you go into Wikipedia and when you will start reading about it, तो Wikipedia पे start होता है कि ये जो problem है Sikh and Hindu के बीच में, it is started by the RSS because there was some RSS leader who said कि अगर आपको ये 5 चीजें पहननी है तो आप अपने जगह चले जाओ, and the Sikh were telling that कि believing in that कि ये जो हमारा nationalism है, it also has a element of Sikhism का, जो Hindu population थी, they were not accepting. That's how it started. So that it's a totally different narrative out there. And when we read about कि 84 जो ये हुआ था, riots हुए थे, which was very unfortunate incident, तो उसके पहले भी से जो झगड़े चले आ रहे थे, या बस से उतार करके इतने हिंदुओं का गला काट दिया गया था, जो निरंकारी, आई थिंक देवर निरंकारी वन, तो ये सारे जो नरेटिव्स हैं, ये जो पूरा डिटेल और नुआंसेस के साथ है, वो तो नॉर्मल ऑर्डिनरी इंडियन को पता भी नहीं है. इवन बहुत बार मैंने देखा है कि खुद हिंदुओं को नहीं पता है कि क्या क्या हुआ है. एंड अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम दे गेट एज अ ऑर्डिनरी इंडियन हिंदू जिसका कुछ भी लेना देना नहीं है, लोग इस राइट्स को आपको बार बार ला करके उनको शेम भी कर जाते हैं, वो चुपचाप सुन भी लेते हैं. तो मुझे लगता है नरेटिव के फ्रंट पे हम बहुत फेल होते हैं. दैट्स व्हाई आई सेड लाइक यू शुड राइट अ बुक. Khalid, you have any question?
I think this will be the last question. We'll wrap up with this. Puneet, how is the support you're getting within the community, outside of India and within India?
No, the thing is, again, I receive. So if you read my account, I just started speaking after they desecrated the tricolor. और मेरा कितनी बार बैन करा दिया, but I have like an account which has more traction and following than any account I think that is alive on Punjab and Sikh history. And really I don't have to deal. I get like many hundreds of messages, like praise. But the thing is, again, this is like when I was young, I traveled so much of the world by hitchhiking. You know, I've been to Kashmir. मैं कश्मीर ट्रक मतलब
seen those
लेके
pics.
पैदल, हाँ, तो मैं कश्मीर, you know, I believe in trusting the thing. But now, for example, when I told how they killed the Nirankari Guru, that guy who basically started working as his, you know, like, what do you say, a carpenter, and then he shot him. So for them, this is not shame. You know, this is like to, you know, to pump bullets into Indira Gandhi, an old woman that you had, you know, pledged to protect. It's not a matter of shame. They are celebrating that. So these people are shameless. So it doesn't matter if, like, you know, lakhs of people love you. It takes one lunatic to kill you. And, you know, like, okay, like, I'm a Kshatriya and I will stand like that. But, you know, I have a loving family too. You know, I'm in no hurry to die. So it will come when it comes. That is actually the worst bit, that, you know, you become skeptical. So, you know, like, everybody is like generous and, you know, we love you. And, you know, it's like you can see somebody has put his, you know, like really emotion and thought. And, you know, sometimes like, okay, like, you know, I tweet it and I acknowledge it, you know, like, but I can't, I can't accept your hospitality or, you know, offer to meet or something like that. And, you know, and yeah, and this is not something that's ever going to go away. I have to live with this for the rest of my life.
Is there a difference in the support you get from the community, from people who are outside India and within India? Any particular difference you see in the way they reach out to you?
No, I think it's both. It's just like, you know, so different people are in what do you say, in India, in Punjab, they are oppressed by this SGPC, and nobody had before me had taken on the SGPC, and I've like directly taken them on and even humiliated them, and, you know, like, even the Sikh Pope went on a public speech, and, you know, like, not taking my name, but everybody, like, you know, this guy has, you know, made our life hell or something like that. You know, he gave a public speech. I don't know if you have seen it. It's like, ek ladka hai, wo aise karta hai. And so the people who are abroad, you know, like, for them it is basically, you know, they have just been like given like a, you know, bootleg version of Aurangzeb Islam is Sikhi, you know, it's like this, you know, Monism, and so nothing actually makes sense. So they are basically more interested in the scholarship bit, where I basically build, okay, like, this is the art and this is the painting, and, you know, they find it very fascinating. So it's that I'm not done like detailed study of it, but actually, like, there is like a huge interest, and, you know, I'm not able to actually manage it because it's just like me and a couple of young people who help with video editing, because you have to be careful. So, you know, you can't allow even people to help you.
Right.
But, you know,
What
like,
what drives you, Puneet? And what are times where you feel like, why am I doing this? Is it really worth it?
yeah, like, the thing is, honestly, like, you know, I'm also a human. I do feel it. And, you know, the thing is, like, SGPC is like, they have brainwashed people for like, what do you say, like 100 years. And their annual budget is like 1100 crores, which is like the last year. And the government is afraid to touch them, right? So they are very, very, but I'm just like, okay, it's making a change every day I get. And I see like moving, like, this has never happened. You know, like, even 5Ks, I didn't, you know, it's another discussion, but I brought it out. And, you know, we like so many things I brought out which have never been brought out for 100 years. And there is also more practical aspect, you know, like, I've studied Punjab terrorism very, very carefully, right? So, you know, like, they don't leave you. To give you an example, there was guy, Comrade Balwant Singh, very brave guy. He was living on Pakistan border when there was no state. He was a communist, so I have nothing to do. But, you know, he protected his village, and he got like Shore medal, police medal, gallantry medal. That he defended his village, and, you know, he was like, we are not going to leave this place. We are going to fight the Khalistanis. If there is no state, so be it. After this has happened like 2-3 years ago, after like, you know, 30 years, or when his security was reduced, the Khalistanis went and killed him. So that guy had a police protection for 30 years, and he fought the Khalistani and he got these medals. So what I have done, like, basically, you know, like, expose them. They are never going to leave me. Even if I say, okay, I shut up, it's not like, you know, my life would become any safer. Then he's like, what are the options I have? So either live like a coward, or live and you're still going to be killed, or, you know, you live like a brave man, and, you know, you have some legacy, and you know, you live with honor and some pride. So अगर मैं बंद भी कर दूंगा, मुझे छोड़ेंगे तो है नहीं, तो भाई इज्जत ही बचा लो, जान तो बचेगी नहीं, इज्जत ही बचा लो.
All right, Puneet, it's amazing the work you do, and, you know, the way you're driven about it. And we always wish that you remain safe. And, you know, this education that you give everyone with regards to, you know, Punjab and every, you know, thing it has passed through. And at the core, I think what drives you is that you don't want those Punjabi civilians to go through what they went in those dark years of Khalistan. Would that be a right assessment?
Right. And I think it's like, history is not कि भाई वो कौन सा कोई लहंगा टाइप पहनती थी, कौन सी रानी पहनती थी, या कह दो जी हम तो जी इनके वंशज हैं और ये बदमाशों के वंशज है. History is actually very, very tragic. And it is basically simply to learn the lessons. And basically, when partition happened, basically the burnt of it was faced by Punjab. And it was again never discussed, because it was very, very tragic. And the same politics was placed by the Akalis and the Bindarmala in the 1970s and 80s. And it almost led to the same consequences. So for me, history is like this, you play the same game, you set the same constraints and incentives, you get the same outcome. So this is what happened in Rwanda, and this is what happened in Yugoslavia also. I've traveled there. तो भाई ऐसी हरकतें करोगे तो इसका यही नतीजा मिलता है. मतलब जो है ना, इसका उसका कोई और दूसरा नहीं करना. So you play this game of tribalism and hatred and demonization, and you just make everything, and eventually see again, yes, you have to close. When Punjab suffered the worst, the main thing is जैसे यूगोस्लाविया में भी क्या था, जो पंजाब, British Punjab was 55% Muslim, right? And then the rest. Or the thing is, on the corners were like, okay, this is not going anywhere. But because it was so mixed, it could go anywhere. And what they were like, okay, like kill all the other side, so this village stays with us. And also, they were like, okay, we are equal fight, we could fight. And that's why the most killing happened. If it was like 90-10, the 10 would have run away, there is no point fighting. Right? So this is also what happened in Kashmir. They were a minority, we can't fight back. But here in the Punjab, it's still the same. It's 55% Sikhs, and you can say the rest. And again, you can't really make that comparison because this, the non-Hindu Sikh identity is creation of the British. I've given like 18 examples, and maybe we can even do an episode on it. So it's not, but I'm just giving you a thing. You make this tribalism, you make them separate, and you make them antagonistic, and you will have the same tinderbox that was, like 1947 Punjab.
I'm tempted to ask you one more question, and that's a good idea for one of the podcasts we'll do about the similarities between the Hindu and Sikh identities. What was the figure, Puneet, of the civilians that got killed in the terror years of Punjab?
So again, so civilian, I think total, I think was about 23,000, right?
23,000. My God.
And civilians, but like there were like a lot of terrorists too, and it's incredible. 3,000, I think 2,300 were policemen. So it was like incredible the amount of policemen that were killed. And so I think about half were terrorists and half were civilians. So I would say like about 10,000 were civilians. And what is so interesting is, and to give you I always make the point, this fight against terrorism in Punjab was when you can't even imagine. So for example, like if you are from an army background, okay? So you have like, okay, you go and you fight for patriotism. Then again, what helps patriotism is that your family will be well taken care of, right? If you die, and nobody is going to abandon your family, and your family is not just safe but well taken care of. Whereas these people of Punjab police who were fighting these terrorists, their families were butchered. To give you one example, this is just before terrorism ended. So the main guy of Babbar Khalsa is Sukhdev Singh Babbar, right? He was like, he's also like on record telling Shekhar Gupta that yes, we kill Nirankaris and it is okay to kill them. The day he was killed, 37 policemen and 63 of their family members were butchered. 63 of their family members were slaughtered. And these people still, fought. And it was not like their families would be taken off. They were like, if we wear the uniform, our families would be slaughtered. But these brave men of Punjab police, they still fought. And, they had to face harassment of all these Khalistani sitting in UK, and they filed cases on them. It was completely wrong. Like you work with the police procedure or something when the state has the monopoly of violence, right? And the other side has nothing. But this was civil war. It was basically an India-Pakistan war. And, and these people were fighting from civilian areas. So I'm not justifying any civilian deaths. But there is no way that, you can fight. It was a complete warfare. And these militants, they killed, all these people. But again, these people had to sacrifice their families. They fought for the nation, and they had to be harassed by the courts. And they're still being harassed by the courts that you didn't file an FIR. Like, where is this person? Where is the procedure of law? This is India,
That makes it even more amazing, the kind of work you do, Puneet, and all the best to what you do, and keep on educating us on Twitter and through all your incredible YouTube and TV appearances. And yes, we're waiting for that book.
Thank you, Jema Bharti. All the best.
Thank you. Thank you.